Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Bechakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops, a great millstone. I'm your brother, Rabbi Knapp, coming out with a lesson, Lord's will. This is edifying to the Lord's elect. It says, Duck directs U.S. government to prepare release of files on aliens and UFOs. So let's see what this is talking about. U.S. President Donald Duck said he will direct U.S. agencies, including the Defense Department, to go begin the process of identifying and releasing government files on aliens and extraterrestrial life. So they acting like they don't know. He probably don't know, but we know that the scriptures call it, the clouds, chariots of Israel. So it's important to bring these things up because it's biblical. Okay, these things do exist. This is how the Lord is going to return. They're seeing these things. Okay, now not all of us are privy to NASA's telescopes and all of that, but they're seeing things. They're seeing these different signs. They're seeing these different meteors that are coming by. All of these are signs and wonders. Doug made the declaration in a post on Truth Social after he accused Barack Obama earlier in the day of revealing classified information when the former president said aliens are real on a podcast last week. Now, he's not saying that for no reason, but the crazy part is, when you watch, I was watching Maverick, he does a lot of conspiracy theories, and because, all I noticed when I was reading the news this morning, it was talking about Prince Andrew, how he was 66 and 6 cars came to get him. I was like, this got to be, some conspiracy shit behind this. I mean, it was just screaming conspiracy theories all over it. So I went and looked it up. In Maverick, I think his show's called Maverick Approach. I watch him. I watch Donut. When it comes to like shit that just screams off the page, he'll go into the numbers, he'll go into all of that. Not that it's biblical or anything, it's just, I just was curious to see what he said, but he did bring up the fact that I remember a couple months ago, there was a bank that said something about if there was aliens being reported, that can cause like a bank collapse. So that might just be code word for a stock market collapse. So we're going to be watching that, even though it's just conspiracy shit. But hey, it's better to know than, because that's how Esau be communicating. He be telling you in a weird way, but don't be surprised when it happens. Now, am I saying sell all you got? And I'm not saying any of that, okay? But this is coming from a person, I don't have shit, all right? So take advice from people. Don't take advice from people who are broke when it comes to issues about money. Okay, don't take advice it tells you this in the Bible, man. All right. You over here taking advice. This dude ain't got a pot to piss in, but he won't tell you what you should be investing in. You don't listen to people like that. Okay, because they don't know what they're talking about. They'll tell you to invest in something that's already up high. You should be getting it at the lowest price you can get it, and then it shoot up. Okay. Then you look at where were you about all these other things? Some people don't have that. That's not really Jake's office. Let me grab this in the book of Ecclesiastes 38. It says, let's see. Ecclesiastes 38, verse 24. The wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure, and he that have little business shall become wise. So, yeah, a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure. So you got time to study, you make the time to do it. Okay, you must put off other things of the world, Like right now, there's plenty of sports to watch. There's, in the background, I got things, but my mind is like focused on what's going on in the world at the same time. It's like you can't even really sit back and just enjoy the world because this shit's fake. Because something's going on. This is all a distraction. So that's how you get learned, man. Wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure. So you got plenty of time to learn about this word. And he that have little business shall become wise. So you're not occupied in the world, so you have more time to study the word and pray and watch. How can he get wisdom that holdeth the plow and that glorieth in the goad, that driveth oxen and is occupied in their labors, and whose talk is of bullocks? So if you're a farmer, you'll talk about those types of things. He giveth his mind to make furrows and is diligent to give the kind fodder. So you feeding your flock food, man. Fodder's food. Okay, that's what you diligent in. Feeding your flock. If you're a farmer, you got land, you got to tend to the crops, you got to tend to you got to feed the animals, you got to share the animals, you got to do all types of stuff, man. You ain't gonna have time to be occupied in prophecy. He giveth his mind to make furrows and is diligent to give the kind fodder. That's what you're diligent for, doing the work that you're doing, And just like a lot of people, man, you see how diligent they are when it comes to serving the Lord, but, they ain't missed a day at work in 10 years, and they got PTO. They can take a 3-year vacation. But yet, they're not really fully occupied in prophecy. So every carpenter, Ecclesiasticus 38 verse 27, and workmaster that laboreth night and day, and they that cut and grave seals, and are diligent to make great variety, and give themselves to counterfeit imagery, and watch to finish a work. The smith also sitting by the anvil, and considering the iron work, the vapor of the fire wasteth his flesh, and he fighteth. So a carpenter, giving different examples. So this is a smith, and he fighteth with the heat of the furnace. The noise of the hammer and the anvil is ever in his ears, and his eyes look still upon the pattern of the thing that he maketh. He setteth his mind to finish his work, and watcheth to polish it perfectly. So I think that's saying perfectly. It says perfectly, but it's perfectly. So, they paying attention to their work, their craft. A carpenter, he pays attention to his craft. He laboreth night and day, and that cut the grave seals. So he's very diligent on when he's trying to bring forth like a masterpiece. But that's the same way you got to be in this truth, man. But a lot of people don't look at it as some people look at it as like a hobby or a thing you do sometimes when you feel like it. It's like, if that's the spirit the Lord got on you, I'd be afraid, because if he takes that spirit away from you, there's a lot of spirits he'll replace it with, especially out here in this time. Ecclesiasticus 38 verse 29. So doth the potter sitting at his work and turning the wheel about with his feet, who is always carefully set at his work, and maketh all his work by number. So a potter, he fashioneth the clay with his arm, and boweth down his strength before his feet. He applieth himself to lead it over, and he is diligent to make clean the furnace. So same with a potter, man. It takes a lot of effort and time, to do it at a high level. All these trust to their hands, and everyone is wise in his work. Without these cannot a city be inhabited, and they shall not dwell where they will, nor go up and down. So they're gonna be. That's what they do. Everyone got an appointed lot that they have to do. But it tells you in 1 Corinthians 14 that the spirit of the prophets is subject to the prophets. I don't want to keep going, but it's important to know, instead of just talking about it, it's all scriptural based. Okay? So brothers are not doing it because, whatever, for some carnal means. If that's your lot, that's what you're going to be occupied in. 1 Corinthians 14, verse 32, and the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets. So if you were prophesying in the past life, you're going to be prophesying again in the last days. Ecclesiasticus 38, verse 33, they shall not be sought for in public council. Yeah, these potters, these carpenters, these smiths, these, what else do they have? A plowman, he that holdeth the plow. They're not going to be asked to be coming to public councils to debate on issues not pertaining to them. They don't have any knowledge in that area. If they need to be brought to, they'll be talking about something that's specific to their area. Nor sit high in the congregation. They shall not sit on the judge's seat, nor understand the sentence of judgment. They cannot declare justice and judgment, and they shall not be found where parables are spoken, because they're not prophets. So that's this precept. These precepts show you that, who is who. Where they have their minds at. If it's not in this, it's somewhere else. It's some other occupation is what has their mind. That's what shows you, what's most important to people. But they will maintain the state of the world, and all their desire is in the work of their craft. That's right. Your desire is in the work of your craft, man. Okay, if your desire is not in here, serving the Lord and watching and praying like he told you, it's somewhere. Because there's so much stuff going on. People worried about why this dude's bad and you don't see what's going on. You're not paying attention. All right. Even so, I'm saying that to say that even something like UFOs, if you don't know that's in the scriptures, then you need to study, man, because the prophecy is being fulfilled right before your eyes. Let me see if I can grab, what's that? Psalms, I think it's 106. Let me go there. Psalms 106. And he makes the chariots his clouds. Something like that. This it might not be there. Chariot. Let's see what pops up. I know there's one in Psalms I'm looking for. Psalms 104. It's Psalms 104:3. Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters? Who maketh the clouds his chariot? Who walketh upon the wings of the wind? So that's talking about the Lord. Okay, in his chariot. He maketh the clouds his chariot. Okay, and this is what he's talking about. Now, is he talking about specifically the Lord's chariot? There's multiple chariots, not just one. Let me grab this Psalm 104. I just curious to see what the Bible Hub says about it. Psalms 104 in verse number 3. Let's read it in a different translation, the NLT. You lay out the rafters of your home in the rain clouds. You make the clouds your chariot. You ride upon the wings of the wind. And that's talking about the Most High and the Son. Laying the beams of his chambers in the waters above. This phrase evokes the imagery of God's sovereignty and creative power. The beams of his chambers suggest a divine architecture, indicating God's control over the heavens. The waters above refers to the ancient Near Eastern cosmology, where the sky was perceived as a solid dome holding back celestial waters as seen in Genesis 1:7. This reflects, there's a separation. You got the Van Allen belts, and there's different layers to it. There's a different, the waters, the way the elements are out of space and the elements within, that boundary, they're just different, but it's just the elements. This reflects God's authority over creation, emphasizing his ability to establish order in the universe. The imagery also connects to the flood narrative, where God opened the floodgates of the heavens, demonstrating his power to both create and judge. Making the clouds his chariot. This phrase highlights God's majesty and mobility. In ancient cultures, chariots were symbols of power and warfare. By depicting clouds as his chariot, the text portrays God as a divine warrior, echoing themes found in Psalm 68, verse 4. Let's see what that's talking about. And you got to understand that this is, this ain't breaking news. I'm sure a lot of people believed in some form of life outside of, where we live, but it's not in the form that he's presented it to you. You got people thinking they're big-headed with big eyes and stuff. No, these are angels of the Lord. Sing unto God, sing praises to his name, Psalm 68:4. Extol him that rideth upon the heavens by his name, Yah, and rejoice before him. Let me see if that actually says Yah. Psalm 68:4. I think it does. Psalm 68, verse 4. It says Jah. It says an I there. But you know his name is Yahweh. Look at this word Jah. It's Yah. It says Yah. I think when it comes to this, contraction for, because it says Yahweh when you go into the root word. I don't know why they have it written like that. And rejoice before him, but that's talking about Yahweh. Okay, his name is not Jah, all right? Where God rides on the clouds. This imagery is also reminiscent of the theophany at Mount Sinai on Exodus 19 and 19. Let's go there real quick. Exodus 19 and 9, I think it said. Exodus 19 and 9. It says, and the Lord Yahweh said unto Moses, lo, I come unto thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with thee, and believe thee forever. And Moses told the words of the people unto the Lord. So the clouds are the chariots, long story short. Okay. It says Duck made the declaration in a post on Truth Social after he accused Barack Obama, saying that aliens are real. He's not supposed to be doing that, Duck told reporters aboard Air Force One, adding he made a big mistake. Asked if he also thinks aliens are real, Duck answered, well, I don't know if they're real or not. You know. Well, maybe you don't. Who knows? Former U.S. President Obama told podcast host Brian Tyler Cohen that he thinks aliens are real in an interview released last Saturday. They're real, but I haven't seen them. And they're not being kept in Area 51, Obama said. So, you know, this is going all over the internet. You know, how I look at it is that the Lord reveals all these things because he's speaking. The fact that they're even talking about the chariots, I don't care for what reason it is, man. It's the Lord, man. It's the Lord. Our mind should be thinking about the chariots. Our mind should be thinking about salvation. Okay, so if there's any talk about the Lord or his people or anything that pertains to him and his will and purposes, hey, it needs to be brought out. See what the Lord is doing. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy and they hid it from the President of the United States. After the comment made headlines, Obama sought to clarify he thinks it's statistically likely life exists beyond Earth given the vastness of the universe. So, you know, there's probably some code in here, you know, because like I said, some of the conspiracy theories I was hearing is that something about a stock market crash, some bank saying if, you know, that can be detrimental too. So that might be a code word to whoever they're talking to get your funds in order, man, because we about to have a rough ride. But we already know all these things are going to come to pass. All right? We're not fooled by all of this. You know, this is why I don't really have any faith on when it comes to Zephaniah. Anything that has to do with the stock market. Any stocks you buying shit on Robinhood and all that. That shit that you think it don't belong to you. You're buying the rights of something. You don't own anything. You buying stocks, you buying any digital gold or, you know, oh, this is a representation of gold. If it ain't physically in your hand, you don't own it. All right? So don't be a fool, man. Look all these things up. The stock, you don't own these stocks, man. Zephaniah 1 verse 10. So if it can create an issue where they can just take it from you and legally, you know, pay you whatever price they want to give you, you know, they're not going to give you the price where at the top price. This is Esau we're talking about, man. He's just going to give you, even if he does give you, I'm just making a scenario. He does that with you can't trust this nigga, man. Zephaniah 1 verse 10. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord, that there shall be a noise of a cry from the fish gate and a howling from the second and a great crashing from the hills. And it's talking about a stock market crash. Okay. Fishgate is where you do all your trade and stuff. So we do that through these different apps now, but it's really talking about the New York Stock Exchange. How ye inhabitants of Mactesh, for all the merchant people are cut down, all they that bear silver are cut off. So you investing in something that this is a prophecy saying all those that bear silver are cut off. So it just goes to show you that you can't trust in this place. The book of Proverbs, chapter 11, in verse number 4, riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth from death. So this is what I'm banking on right here. I'm hoping that, even though it might seem futile, it might seem, I don't know what it looks like from the outside looking in. I just know that it's a battle and I'm trying to win it. That's all I know. All right. I'm for it. I'm very competitive when it comes to anything. We can go play basketball one-on-one. I'm going to try to beat you. If it's up to 10 zip, I want to defeat you, destroy you utterly. Football, I want to run you over. I want to stiff arm your face and put your face in the ground and run you over. Any sport, man. Hockey, man, I'm checking you to the wall. Boxing, I'm knocking you out. Like, that's how I'm trying to do it. Why play with it, man? There's no playing when it comes to this, man. All right? And nobody from the nation of Israel should be taking this word lightly, especially when you come back into the knowledge of who you are in these last days. It says, after the comment made headlines, Obama sought to clarify he thinks it's statistically likely life exists beyond Earth given the vastness of the universe. Okay, it's fucking foolishness. I'm going to read it, though. In a follow-up post on Instagram, Obama, who served as U.S. president between 2009 to 17, clarified, I saw no evidence during my presidency that extraterrestrials have made contact with us, really. And you know what? He probably slipped, man. He probably slipped. Now he's trying to back it up because Duck said you made a big mistake. So who knows, man? But it's all a show, but it's the Lord's show. Obama's initial comments were made during a quick-fire lightning round of questions on the podcast, so he must have got tricked up. There was no indication that Obama relied on classified information when he gave the interview. But this is how Esau likes to tell you without taking any accountability. The BBC has contacted Obama for comment. The Democrat and Duck, a Republican, are long-standing mutual political antagonists. For his part, Duck said on Thursday on Air Force One that while a lot of people believe in the existence of aliens, he never talks about it and doesn't have an opinion on it. Then a few hours later, he posted on Truth Social that based on the tremendous interest shown, he will seek the release of files related to alien and extraterrestrial life. And you can drop that classified information. What about you? What about those other files that you don't want to let go? Unidentified aerial phenomenon and unidentified flying objects, UFOs, and any and all other information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. Now, there's been some leaks or some release of videos of different chariots being seen through military drills and stuff like that. They couldn't even do anything with it. They done shot at them before. They done did all types of attacks against it, and they were pointless. All right, they have no effect because they're fighting something that's spiritual. It's way more. It shows you that the left hand side ain't stronger than the right hand side. Okay, his chariots. What's that scripture? I think it's Isaiah 32. Is it Isaiah 32? It might be. It's somewhere. Let me try Isaiah 30 first. It says Isaiah. Where is it? Where they trust in horses. You know what? Let's just type in horses. In Isaiah, I know it's in Isaiah. They trust in horses. Isaiah 30. Oh, it's Isaiah 31. Let's go there. Isaiah 31:1. Help not in Egypt, but in God. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help and stay on horses and trust in chariots, because they are many, and in horsemen, because they are very strong, but they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord. Yet he also is wise and will bring evil, and will not call back his words, but will arise against the house of the evildoers and against the help of them that work iniquity. Now the Egyptians are men and not God, and their horses flesh and not spirit. So that's why you're seeing horses that are flesh, or their chariots are flesh and they're not spirit. They're not able to move the same way the chariots of the Lord move, because they're flesh. When the Lord shall stretch out his hand, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that is hoping shall fall down, and they all shall fail together. So when you come up against the Lord with that bull crap, it's going to fail, man. As a matter of fact, let me grab this over here. I want to read it in a different translation. You're coming up against the Lord, man. You're coming up against the spirit. The spirit is stronger than the flesh. Okay, so that's why, we're better than Esau, because we're spiritual beings. NLT says, for these Egyptians are mere humans, not God. Their horses are puny flesh, not mighty spirits. When the Lord raises his fist against them, those who help will stumble, and those being helped will fall. They will all fall down and die together. That's right, coming up against the Lord. Which also matches up with Proverbs, going back to Proverbs 11. Proverbs 11, verse 21, though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. So, there you go. As a matter of fact, where's that precept where it tells you, second edges? Oh, man, I forgot where it is. It says one realm against another. I think it's second edges, the 13th chapter. Let me see. Right. Yeah, second edges 13, verse 31. And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another. So ultimately that one realm against another is going against the flesh and the spirit. Because the flesh is going to try to get together and fight up against the Lord, and they're going to get utterly destroyed. Okay? That's the climax of it all. All these heathen nations with all their power and capability, all these different nukes you're hearing about, different missiles that they got, they're going to try to use that to fight up against the Lord, and he's going to destroy them quickly. All right? So it's like all of this rhetoric around aliens and all that, by the time the Lord comes, these people will be fully prepared to go to war with them. I just did a video a couple of days ago showing you that they even put in chariots inside Fortnite for the kids to play. So the Lord's even preparing, even though he's using Esau to do it, it's really the Lord. Yeah, put the chariot in there, let the kids, and the whole point of putting the chariot in there, you got to shoot at it so it can shoot a laser beam at you. And I just thought, it's small, but it's all adding up. It's little here, but then you won't be surprised when, especially when those drones started going around a couple of years back, no one could explain what they were. People were seeing all type of sightings. Some of them, I believe, were chariots. All right, I think people were seeing some, and they don't even know what they were seeing. Who knows? It hasn't been like that since the same. Because they were coming on the East Coast, so you got all that water, and then they were going into the sea and going underneath the water. Then they try to blame it on this big mothership that Iran had, but you haven't seen Iran really use any type of drones unless they unleash them yet. But if Iran was sending drones, look how far that drone would have to rely on battery power and go all the way across the sea to get to the border just to drive around Mar-a-Lago and then go back. So that's why I'm saying some of these things don't even sound like they're actually drones. Because what kind of drone, unless there's some nuclear powered drone that, but we haven't seen it since. You don't even hear about that anymore. You know, I can't imagine living in New Jersey at that time when those things were coming about. You know, but then brothers got plenty of their own eyes seeing chariots. It tells you in the book of Matthew 24, 24, and it talks about the eagles. Down more here, glorious return. Matthew 24 and 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened. Okay, tribulations going into Jacob's trouble. Okay, it tells you in Acts 14 and 22. Through much tribulation. Let's grab that real quick. Acts 14, verse 22. Confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must, through much tribulation, enter into the kingdom of God. So that's going through Jacob's trouble. That's the straight gate. Okay. Matthew 24 and 29 again. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and that's also going into the MOTB, because we know after that, then that's when the missiles are gonna start. That's when the war is gonna really kick off. This is how we know, and this is that glorious return of the Lord. Okay, so the wars are gonna increase. Everything's going to come to a climax, and that the Lord's going to come at the height of it all. Matthew 24 and 29, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. So it's talking about thermonuclear destruction. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, which is Yahweh Shai, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. All the tribes of the earth are going to mourn because it's Yahweh Shai. Okay, especially the men of the Lord. They're going to know who that is. And I'm sure at that time, something super spiritual about Yahweh Shai coming through the clouds. It's going to be, I wouldn't be surprised if some of us start to, who knows, man? Who knows when you see something like that, man? And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. See, clouds is Paul. It's not even just him. He's coming with the whole host of heaven. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the one end of heaven to the other. So that's how he's going to get his elect, through the clouds. Okay. Now it stops right here. It don't really get into what's going to happen with Yahweh Shai and these other nations, but you can read about it in 2nd Esdras, the 13th chapter, Revelation 19, gets into it, into Daniel, the 12th chapter. So it kind of pieces it together. The Lord is giving you hints, clues on how he's coming back. And as we get closer and closer to that end, we're starting to see it manifest. Even though he's already talking about the chariots, but it's not like the Lord's gonna come out of nowhere and no one's gonna know what it is. He's setting you up to think it's some aliens. He's setting you up to think, it's something other than the Lord. The majority of people ain't gonna know what the hell they're looking at. You see it in different movies. They got signs, welcome to our planet. Because Edomites are stupid. They really don't know the Lord, man. These people are dumb as hell, and that's amazing that they show in the movies how dumb they're gonna be dismayed at the signs of heaven, like it tells you in Jeremiah the 10th chapter. Jeremiah 10 and 1. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. So they're going to be dismayed. Let's look at this word dismayed.
Strong's H 2865. Chafaf.
Five, confound, discouraged, affrighted, afraid. Okay, so they're going to be terrified. They're going to be broken. They're going to be shattered. Oh, man. Amazed, scared. Okay, discouraged, caused to dismay. So they're not going to know what the hell they're looking at. But the Lord shared all this with his elect. All right? Some people might look at this and think conspiracy theorists, but if you can't go through the scriptures and match it up, then you don't know what you're talking about. I still didn't even grab the precept I want. Let me grab this in the book. There's so many precepts. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Acts, the ascension, Acts 1 and 9. And when he had spoken these things while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. Now this is talking about a chariot. And this is the same way the Lord's will be part of that number. The elect are going to they're going to ascend too. And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. So he's coming back the same way he left, in a chariot, in a cloud. And these are tokens that the Lord leaves for his elect to let them know that he's coming back. He got the heathen talking about it. He even got your president talking about it while he's up in the G7. He up high and lofty. Okay? And what did the Lord tell us he was going to do to people like that? He said, from thence will I bring thee down. Let me grab that in the book of Obadiah. All right? Obadiah verse 4, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord Yahweh. See? So he's going to bring him down. So he's talking all this mess while he's sitting in a chariot, talking about the UFOs. It's super spiritual, man. You know? But this ain't for y'all. What did he say? I tell you spiritual things. Let me grab that. I tell you spiritual things, KJV. 1 Corinthians 9:11. Ooh, if we have sown unto you spiritual things, is it a great thing if we shall reap your carnal things? No, that's not what I'm looking for. Oh, we gotta keep going. You gotta keep going. No, that's not what I'm looking for. That's sown unto you. What did he say? He said something about spiritual things. How and something carnal. I don't know how the precept goes exactly, but it's giving me the same. Maybe I was reading in a different translation. 1 Corinthians, if we have sown unto you spiritual things, is it a great thing if we shall reap your carnal things? I don't think that's the precept. Oh, I forgot where the precept is. No, that's not it. It's something like that. If I told you spiritual, if I tell you spiritual things, I don't know. I like fried. What's this? Carnal Christian, 2 Corinthians 5, verse 17. Let's go there real quick. That might be it. 2 Corinthians 5, verse 17. Therefore, if any man be in a Mashiach, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. No. You know what? Let's put carnal. Because I know carnal's in it. And let's go to... Let me see. If I told you... I don't know where it's at. For ye are... No, speak unto you. 1 Corinthians 3:1. And I, brethren, could not speak unto you as unto spiritual, but as unto carnal, even as unto babes in a Mashiach. For ye are yet carnal. For whereas there is among you envying, strife, divisions. Let me see. Romans 15, verse 27. If have pleased them verily, and their debtors they are, for if the Gentiles have been made partakers of their spiritual things, their duty is also to minister unto them in carnal things. I don't know what precept that I'm looking for. I think it is 1 Corinthians. If we sown unto you spiritual thing, is it, maybe I read it in a different translation. Let's see what this means real quick. Paul argues that ministers who provide spiritual guidance are rightfully entitled to material support from the congregation. Yeah, I think Yahweh Shai said it. If you don't believe the spiritual things, how would you believe the carnal? KJV. Yes, there we go. John 3:12. I was way off. Because I can't even quote it properly, so that's what's messing me up. John 3, verse 12. If I have told you earthly things, and ye believe not, yeah, this is it. How shall ye believe if I tell you of heavenly things? So he doesn't tell you, he doesn't say spiritual things, so I was messing it up, throwing me off. Yahweh Shai questions Nicodemus' faith by stating, if I told you earthly things and you do not believe, how can you believe if I tell you heavenly things? That's in the ear. This verse highlights the gap between understanding basic spiritual truths, earthly things like regeneration, and deeper divine mysteries. So that's right. So you don't even believe, you don't believe a lot of things, you know. A lot of people, they don't believe in the name of the Lord. They don't believe they're Israel. So, you know, believing in the chariot, this is meat for some people, man. You're not going to believe this. But, you know, the Lord will still have brothers bring it out. In the let me see, then a few hours later, he posted on True Social that based on the tremendous interest shown, he will seek the release of files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, and unidentified flying objects, and any and all other information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. He beating around the bush. In the 2024 report, the Pentagon said there was no evidence that the U.S. government had encountered alien life, and that most UFO sightings were just ordinary objects. See? Blasphemy. Okay? He wants you to think they're little white babies with, the angels are little white babies with wings on their backs and they're ass naked, and they're just flying around in the clouds, and just God's just barely clothed, and he's just sitting on a cloud. The cloud's covering his private parts. He's really just naked. He's a white dude with a long beard, and it's all blasphemy. You know, and if that's what the angels look like, so the aliens are different. So this man's sick in his mind. The aliens got big heads, big black eyes, you know, and they sit in these pits. They're full of all this in this liquid, and when they come out, you know, they got small bodies and tails, and they you know, they rattle when they speak like snakes, and like, this dude's stupid as hell. Ain't no aliens, man. These are the chariots of the Lord. Okay, just like it tells you, Revelation 19 and 10. He said, and I fell at his feet to worship him, and he said unto me, see thou do it not, I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahweh Shai. Worship God, for the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy. So we know the angels look like men. You know, Tobit ran into an angel, cooked for him, did a bunch of things for him. And then he didn't know until he revealed it unto him. So we know the angels, you can entertain angels unaware. So some of them are already in the midst of us. All right? The men of the Lord are angels, just in a different form. All right? In 2023, the U.S. House of Representatives held a panel on unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAPs, known more colloquially as UFOs. This sounds like a funny word. Colloquially. I'll look this up. That's how you say it. It won't repeat it. It says in the language of ordinary or familiar conversation, informally, colloquially. So I think I did say that right. As UFOs, the hearing produced no major bombshells or confirmation of alien life. So, there's a lot going on. But anyways, Duck says he'll decide whether to bomb Iran in the next 10 to 15 days. He might do it tomorrow. That's what he did last time. He kept telling him, like, it's far out. Yeah, so, 10, 15 days, I'm going to get it maybe 3. You have 3 days before, we shoot nukes on you. And then he did it, like, the next day. So they're going to get attacked at any time. And it's increasing over there. But like I said, these rumors of wars, the tribulation, Jacob's trouble, the MOTB, it's pretty much banking on that. Okay, we know that has to come first. So we're not over reacting when it comes to this, but things can still kick off, like inflation, gas prices going up, because he has to justify it. He has to justify why you're paying $15 at the gas pump, why your food prices are going so high. Well, we're in a war. Of course, these things are happening. It justifies him putting you more deeper and deeper into slavery, to the point where you got to ask him for help. So he has to create a crisis in order to bring forth all of this tribulation. All right. So Trump says he'll decide whether to bomb Iran in the next 10 days. So that's a form of saying everything's all right until you got 10 days from now. What's that, next month? Today's the 19th. Let me grab this in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. In verse 3, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So he likes to use that. Everything's going to be all right. 10 days, you got plenty of time to stop and negotiate and talk. But he's sending troops over there. Yesterday, he just sent more weapons in that area. But Iran ain't just sitting there. They've been going in the bunkers about maybe a month ago. Maybe not a month, but maybe like 2 weeks ago or something like that. There was already reports that the supreme leader over there, he 80-something years old, he went in the bunker and he got his son doing all the footwork. So the supreme leader's downstairs. You can kill his son. He's still ruling. You see? President Duck said Thursday that he would decide in the next 10 or 15 days whether to continue diplomacy with Iran or order a military strike. So, why it matters, U.S. and Israeli officials tell Axios a military operation against Iran would likely be a massive weeks-long campaign and could begin within days. Nigga said a weeks-long campaign. That's what you think? Yeah, we should be. That's what supposedly Putin thought too. And how many years has that been? All right. And you fucking with the Persians too. You should know better. You should read about your forefather, Antiochus Epiphanes the fourth, how he went over there and came out with his head down. What's that? Second Maccabees, the 9th chapter. It's a short read. So it's a short read, man. Second Maccabees 9:1. It says, about that time came Antiochus with dishonor out of the country of Persia. And that's where he wants to go fight. For he had entered the city called Persepolis and went about to rob the temple. And that's what he wants to do. He wants to go over there and rob them. Just like he does Venezuela, what he's trying to do to Cuba. He's trying to rob them. Now he won't start there, then he trying to catch a lick. And to hold the city, whereupon the multitude running to defend themselves with their weapons put them to flight, and so it happened, Antiochus being put to flight of the inhabitants returned with shame. And that's what's going to happen to you when you go over there. You're going to return with shame. Okay? Why? What he's saying, now we may have to take it a step further, or we may not. Maybe we are going to make a deal with Iran. You are going to be finding out over the next probably 10 days. Trump said during the Gaza border peace meeting in Washington on Thursday. Oh, I forgot he was having that happened today. Several hours later, Duck told reporters on Air Force One en route to Georgia that 10 days would be enough time. 10, 15 days, pretty much maximum. The latest amid the U.S. threat to launch a military campaign. And the crazy part is, he probably already struck their ass. He probably already, the way they be doing shit, they be already doing shit. And by the time you hear about it, they acting like it just happened. That shit been happening. And why they retaliating and all of that, you hearing it, you days late. He probably already struck their ass. They been down in those bunkers, like I just said. But I don't think he did, because they were doing military drills, and I got some more information on that. Russia's over there doing military drills with them, so it's not an easy, I'm just going to shoot you. Russia actually sent some Navy over there. I don't know if China did too. Taliban said he's going to ride with them. Iraq said he's going to ride with them. Several hours later, Duck told reporters on Air Force One en route to Georgia that 10 days, I read that, the latest amid the U.S. threat to launch a military campaign, the Iranian UN ambassador Amir Saeed Aravani sent a letter to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and to the members of the UN Secretary Council warning of an Iranian retaliation. That's right. Let the weak say I'm strong. In such circumstances, all bases, facilities, and assets of the hostile force in the region would constitute legitimate targets in the context of Iran's defensive response. The United States would bear full and direct responsibility for any unpredictable and uncontrolled consequences, he wrote. State of play, Duck convened his top advisors on Wednesday for a meeting on the crisis with Iran. Duck was briefed on the nuclear talks held earlier this week in Geneva, and the group discussed next steps. Duck said on Thursday that the talks went well, but Iran has to make a meaningful deal, otherwise bad things will happen. What to watch? One U.S. official said the Iranians need to come back to the Duck administration by the end of the month with a package of steps to address the concerns the U.S. presented in Geneva regarding their nuclear program. And what I read about Iran, the way he's talking is like he just ignored everything they said, because they said no foreign country is going to stop us from building our nuclear. They went back on it, but who knows with all this propaganda? Who fucking knows, man? But I did read something, because I've been following it closely, that they said they're not negotiating with this nigga. I remember them saying they'll dilute some of their nukes, but clearly that's not, it sounds like they switched it up. So whatever plan he was trying to do, it ain't work. U.S. officials say the arrival of the USS Ford aircraft carrier and its strike group to the eastern Mediterranean in the coming days will be a key factor in the timing of a possible military campaign against Iran. So he's posturing. He's posturing, man. As a matter of fact, what's this? No, I don't want to get that yet. Let me grab this. It says Iran, Russia hold naval drills amid U.S. military buildup in Arabian Sea, and that's February 19th. Okay, Iran and Russia launched joint naval drills in Iran's southern waters on February 19th as the United States continues expanding its military presence in the Arabian Sea. So I believe when you watch the news, they already did. There's Russian military there. All right. The drills are taking place primarily in the Strait of Hormuz, the Gulf of Oman, and the northern Indian Ocean, known as the Maritime Security Belt. The annual exercises have been held since 2019 and have typically included China, though Beijing does not appear to be involved in the current drills. So they don't even got China involved, and China got a much bigger navy than America. Iranian Navy, and they got that whole in the South China Sea, they got a whole damn military Navy island. Duck don't got that, man. They're way ahead of him when it comes to the Navy. They building artificial islands to build militaries. That's super strategic in that area, man. They've been ready for Duck. Iranian Navy Rear Admiral Hassan told reporters that one purpose of the drills is to prevent any unilateral action in the region, in what appeared to be an implicit reference to the U.S. military buildup, because he knows Russia versus America, Iran versus Israel, and China versus, I don't know, Europe. But it don't sound like Europe's trying to do deals with China. So, and we know Revelation 17 is going to kick in. So it's really just America and Israel, because Europe's going to switch on their ass. Joint Iranian-Russian drills. The Iranian and Russian navies carried out aerial imaging drills and practiced tactical formations and maneuvering as part of the exercise, according to Iranian media reports. So they're training with each other is the point. What's this? Duck orders seeks to protect weed killer at center of barrage of lawsuits. Yep. Let me get this first in Isaiah 13. Because the Lord's stirring up those meats. Isaiah 13, verse 17. Babylon will fall to the Medes. So the Medes are the Russians. So whenever you hear about them in the midst, hey, that's the fall of your kingdom, man. So he's already, it's like chess pieces. You know, he moves his pawn over there in the Arabian Sea. Putin moved his pawn, met him there. So what's the next plan? You know, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. So you can't bargain with them. And they're going to want to put you to death. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. In Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. And that was with brimstone and what do you call it? Brimstone and fire and brimstone. So he manipulated the elements to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, and he created a smith to manipulate the elements to destroy Babylon. It says Doug orders seeks to protect weed killer at center of barrage of lawsuits. Yeah, Roundup. This is a big deal right now. President move, which also seeks immunity for makers, faces backlash from health advocates and Maha coalition. So Maha is Make America Healthy Again. What's his face? The one that likes to sniff cocaine off of toilet seats. Whatever his name is, the one who ain't scared of germs. Donald Duck has signed an executive order protecting production of glyphosate-based herbicides or herbicides such as Roundup, which some bodies and studies have linked to cancer and which are the subject of widespread U.S. litigation. So you eating this shit anyways, you might as well. So I think he even told them to ramp it up. Keep doing it. The president's move, which also seeks to provide immunity for makers of the herbicides, was strongly criticized by health and environmental advocates, including some figures in the Make America Healthy Again coalition. The order also protects domestic production of phosphorus, which is used in making glyphosate and other agricultural chemicals, as well as a range of other products, including some in military defense. So, crazy, man. And then, I don't know if it was the phosphorus or the glyphosate that this farmer had. He said it's built on his finished floor, and it started eating the concrete on the floor, and that's what he's using to put on your plants, man. And then the animals eat the same food we eat. The different the grass. They pretty much eat. That same shit's on the grass that they eat is what I'm saying. Then you eat them. So all of our food is defiled, man. So if you don't think you need a savior, big time, man. You already saved though, right? How the fuck you already saved from eating Roundup, man? Niggas talking about they saved, they eating Roundup. Right, ensuring robust domestic elemental phosphorus mining and United States-based production of glyphosate-based herbicides is central to American economic and national security, the order states. So now this shit's national security, Roundup. He calls that national security. So he's manipulating it. All right, I got the power to write this executive order. I don't know all the details about it, but he's saying this is a national security. So I don't know how he likes I'm telling you, man. This is just fucking bullshit. The 18 February order cities authority under the Defense Production Act and instructs U.S. Department of Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins to issue orders and regulations as may be necessary to implement this order. The White House said the threat of reduced or ceased production of phosphorus and glyphosate herbicides gravely endangers national security and defense, which includes food supply security. So there you go. They don't want to stop it because food supply security, you don't use this shit, man. He can't produce nothing out of the ground, man. He don't keep the land Sabbath, man. He destroyed all your topsoil. Crazy shit, man. Neither the executive order nor the fact sheet the White House put out accompanying the order discloses the glyphosate-based herbicides have been linked to an array of cancers and other health problems in multiple independent research studies and by cancer experts of the World Health Organization. The move by the White House comes as Roundup maker Bayer is facing tens of thousands of lawsuits alleging the company's glyphosate herbicides cause cancer, and the company failed to warn farmers and other users of the risk. And he ain't getting arrested yet. He's getting a whole executive order to protect pretty much protect him, give him immunity. Yeah, this is national security. The company, which inherited the litigation when it brought Monsanto in 2018, has already paid out billions of dollars in settlements and jury verdicts, and said this week it was proposing to pay $7.25 billion in a class action settlement to try to head off future lawsuits. Damn. So he probably put so many people to death. You got to pay for their, you lose these lawsuits. Some people were out of work, because of their cancer and all of that. So you got to pay them back pay. You got to pay for their insurance bills. You got to pay for, all types of shit, And then some people got to take care of their families. They leave work to go full time to take care. It's just crazy. And then who knows how long, and then people died too. It's crazy. Now you're going to have immunity. So all that money is pocketed now. Now I don't even got to pay for this shit. Good. Because they told you that's what's in your food, man. That's why I don't eat as much as I used to anymore, man. The best thing you could do, fast, man. You know, the Lord wouldn't tell us to fast. Is we gotta fast. We gotta pray. You gotta do it all, man. Because He's ramping it up. The devil's ramping it up, man. So this is what's gonna separate the weak, the people who are really for the Lord. He gonna make sure they good, and the ones who ain't, man, you gonna fall by this type of shit. You ain't got no discipline. This battle, this like you go play a video game. You get to the last boss. That's the part we getting into, man. You know, you gotta be righteous. Pretty much, you ain't gonna be perfect like Yahweh Shah, but you gonna be damn near. You gonna know the law. You know, because a lot of people, they don't know the Lord, man. They don't know His prophecies. They don't know what to do. You know, you're going to be held to a higher standard. This executive order reads like it was drafted in a chemical company boardroom, said Vani Hari, a food activist, author, and one of the grassroots leaders of the Make America Healthy Again coalition. Calling it national defense while expanding protections for toxic products is a dangerous misdirection. Real national security is protecting American families, farmers, and children. That's what he does. He turns everything backwards, man. He got the head of Maha, you know, the nigga sniffs coke off toilet seats, and he's the head of your health department. So clearly he don't care about your health. Just like Christy Noam, you look up Christy Noam, she supposedly shot her hunting dog in his head, and now she's being held charge of going against dog abusers. So it's like you got to be the complete opposite of where they putting you positioning. You know. So it just goes to show you everything you think you put him in a position to do good, he's gonna do the exact opposite right there. All right. Kelly Ryerson. Damn, I'm not gonna read all of it. That's pretty much it, man. There's a roundup thing. You can read it if you want. I thought that was kind of interesting. Ex-Prince Andrew could face life imprisonment if charged and convicted, experts say. See, that's crazy. But like I said, they were saying he was 66 years old, 6 car cruisers came to get him. It was 6 o'clock and 6 this and 6 that. Like, I'm not going to read it all. What's this? North Korean leader deploys 50 new rocket launchers ahead of major party Congress. 50 new rocket launchers. So that's the heathen. Getting ready for war. North Korea said Thursday leader Kim Jong-un held a ceremony to unveil the deployment of 50 new launch vehicles for nuclear-capable short-range missiles threatening rival South Korea as he flaunted his expanding military capabilities ahead of major ruling party Congress. South Korea, you're screwed. You're screwed, man. As a matter of fact, South Korea gives their prime minister life. Yo, yeah. Oh, it's former president Yoon Suk Yeol, South Korea's ex-president, jailed for life over martial law attempt. Craziness, man. Dude, I forgot when. He got life for that shit for setting up martial law. Damn, I'm gonna have to read that later. I'll read just the headline. South Korea's ex-president Yoon Suk Yeol has been jailed for life for masterminding an insurrection by trying to impose military rule. Yoon attempted to subvert the Constitution by deploying military troops to sail off the National Assembly and ordering the arrest of politicians on 3 December 2024. A Seoul court ruled his actions fundamentally damaged South Korea's democracy and deserves a harsh punishment. Presiding Judge Ji Gui-yeon told the court. So now he's locked. He's gone. What's this? Transport bill covered after Danville's dad's plea for ill veteran daughter goes viral. Yeah, this dude's daughter fought in the military. She had something wrong with her thyroid or something like that. So she's a vet, and all they needed to do was transport. She's on like life support. All they needed to do was transport her body from one hospital to a specific hospital that could treat her. And they said that in order to transfer her, because she's hooked up to mad different shit because her heart is failing. And the father went online and said, help out my daughter. And the whole VA wasn't trying to help her out. And that just goes to show you that Esau don't give a fuck about you, man. But you're going to continue to do that. Plus, she should be at home, man. Ecclesiasticus? I think it's Ecclesiasticus 26 and 29 or something like that. Nope. Ecclesiasticus 26 and 28. There be two things that grieve my heart, and the third maketh me angry, a man of war that suffereth poverty. So you fight for this country, and you ain't got enough money to, help pay with your bills or pay for food or keep a roof over your head. That makes the Lord angry. And men of understanding that are not set by, men of understanding that are not set by. You see that. They know the truth, but they're not set by it. They're not walking according to it. And one that returneth from righteousness to sin. The Lord prepareth such and one for the sword. So that's how the Lord, he don't play with that, man. Somebody fight for your country and you treat them like that, you get prepared for the sword. Duck declares glyphosate defense priority. Yeah, I'm going to read this. President Duck today signed an executive order invoking Defense Production Act to make the supply of glyphosate critical to national security. The order will require Agricultural Secretary Brooke Rollins to issue orders and regulations to implement the increased supply of phosphorus and glyphosate. Nigga wrote an executive order to increase the supply of it. CNBC said in an analysis, House Agricultural Committee Chairman Glenn G.T. Thompson, RPA, issued a statement praising the order. And he's giving them immunity, so now you can't even sue him when your ass get colon cancer from the shit. Thank you to President Duck for acknowledging the importance of glyphosate based on herbicides in American agriculture, Thompson said. Foolishness. This is how you know this is just like that movie, Idiocracy. They had all their money tied up in Gatorade. They were putting Gatorade on the crops. And this is the same shit. Niggas putting Roundup on the crops, and he was wondering why nothing would grow. And he's like, yeah, you're supposed to put water on the crops. And then everyone was mad at him because it would have collapsed the stock market. So that's what he's probably more concerned about, is keeping the stock market up. Roundup probably ties into all types of areas within your stock market that he ain't really telling you about. So it'll be in the benefit of the stock market than it is for the people. Okay, but you people, you want things, you think you know what you want and you don't, because you're stupid. So you're not gonna see any issues with this. As long as your 401k says it's up, that's just gonna stay up, but everything else is gonna be bad. It's going to be just like that movie Idiocracy, because you're a bunch of idiots, and a lot of you are going to die. At the House Committee on Agriculture, we know that food security is national security, but your Stafford Brett's going to be broken too. And that's why Bill Snakes is online trending right now about his lab-grown meat. All this shit is being brought back up. Because now they understand nobody's going to want to have food that got fucking Roundup in it, especially if it causes colon cancer and all other types of shit. He going to give you that healthy alternative. This doesn't have, even though that shit going to do the same thing. That's going to put you to death too. Okay? Can't trust your enemy no way. He wants you to eat that shit because he wants to kill you. ensuring a domestic supply of this critical crop input remains available for our producers. The Environmental Working Group blasted the move. Hurry a little bit more. If anyone still wondered whether Make America Healthy Again was a genuine commitment to protecting public health or a scam concocted by President Duck and RFK Jr. to rally health conscious voters in 2024, today's decision answers that question, said EWG President. Where is this from? Tri-State Livestock News. Said EWG President and co-founder Ken Cook, I can't envision a bigger middle finger to every Maha mom than this. He added, by granting immunity to the makers of the nation's most widely used pesticide, President Duck just gave Bayer a license to poison people. Full stop. That's right. So a lot of y'all are gonna die. Yay! See, people say I'm mad all the time, but I'm happy. This is great news. Because as you guys, the wicked gets put to death, the righteous get exalted. It's a shocking betrayal to protect all of us, but especially the people who live and work near farm fields where glyphosate is used, said Cook. Oh well, sucks to be y'all. Ezekiel. What's that? 4? Let's go. Ezekiel 4:9. Take thou also unto thee wheat and barley and beans and lentils and millet and fitches, and put them in one vessel, and make thee bread thereof according to the number of the days that thou shalt lie upon thy side. 390 days shalt thou eat thereof. And thy meat which thou shalt eat shall be by weight, 20 shekels a day. From time to time shalt thou eat it. Thou shalt drink also water by measure, and 6 part of a hin from time to time shalt thou drink. And thou shalt eat it as barley cakes, and thou shalt bake it with dung that cometh out of man in their sight. And the Lord said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whether I will drive them. And we're literally eating our food like this. Use the dung so you can cook, so it stinks. A lot of the food that they use in reclaimed water. You're pretty much spraying your shit right onto the crop. All right. That's why you be getting E. coli on your romaine lettuce all the damn time. Because they're spraying it with that shit. Ezekiel 4 verse 14 then said, Lord God, Yahweh, behold, my soul have not been polluted, for from my youth up, even till now have I not eaten of that which dieth of itself, or is torn in pieces, neither came there abominable flesh into my mouth. And that's what we're eating. Shit that died to itself. Shit that was torn into pieces. Your chicken nuggets are torn into pieces. Excuse me. All right? And abominable flesh. You putting all types of shit in your food, man. You eating human meat, pork and all your products. You know, your Coca-Cola got flesh. It got embryo, I forgot how they put it. Human DNA in a lot of the products that you eat, the chips that you eat. A lot of aborted fetuses in it. All right, it's an abomination. Even your bread, man. You can't even buy bread. The bread got pesticides in it. You got all types of preservatives in your bread. Your bread ain't supposed to last more than like 24 hours, you know, or a day or two, maybe 3 days. Shit goes bad, man. You got to make enough bread for the day. And you be lucky if it don't rot the following day. That shit is not supposed to have all that shit in there. Bread's not supposed to last months at a time, man. Then he said unto me, Lo, I have given thee cow's dung for man's dung, and thou shalt prepare thy bread therewith. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, behold, I will break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, and they shall eat bread by weight and with care, and they shall drink water by measure and with astonishment. And that's what he was doing. He had to do it. And he was doing that during the time when you know, he was doing it to show you that this time was coming. And it did happen. That they may want bread and water and be astonished one with another and consume away for their iniquity. So that's the same thing that's going to happen. For your iniquity, the Lord's going to take away all of your food, your staff, your stability, your bread and water. He's already polluting the Potomac River. You can't drink that water anymore. You'll die. You'll get very sick from drinking contaminated water. All of these rivers I wouldn't trust it, man. Because that same system they're using there, they're pretty much using everywhere. All right. And like I said, Isaiah 65 tells you the only one that's going to eat are his servants, the prophets, and I'm going to end it there. Lord's will, this was edifying. Shalom.